My daughter is a pathological liar. When she was little, she accidentally bruised her arm and immediately told everyone I pinched her, causing my mother-in-law to scream at me. As she grew older, she constantly skipped class. She told her homeroom teacher that her home environment was too suffocating and that she was clinically depressed. Later, she started dating a street thug. I followed her to the rooftop, where the two of them were secretly hanging out. In the middle of an argument with the thug, he shoved me off the high-rise building. I died on impact. My daughter's very first reaction was to record a video, crying and screaming, "Mom, why did you jump off by yourself?" When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to her senior year of high school, specifically the day she threatened me with her life, so she could elope with her thug boyfriend. I efficiently packed her bags and put them by the door. "Go ahead, daughter. Mom supports your freedom to love. If you don't agree to us being together, I'll slit my throat right here and make you collect my corpse." As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my daughter holding a kitchen knife to her own neck, screaming at me like a maniac. But I knew she had no intention of actually killing herself. She was just doing this to force my hand and extort an even bigger compromise from me. In my previous life, I was frightened out of my mind and practically dropped to my knees, begging her not to do anything stupid. In the end, with tears in my eyes, I agreed to their relationship, to keep her from running away from home. I even promised to give her a $3,000 monthly allowance. My husband and I only made about $4,000 a month combined. To come up with that extra cash, I practically lived at the office, working overtime until midnight. I worked every single day until my vision went blurry. Meanwhile, she took our blood, sweat, and tears to bankroll her thug boyfriend. She even proudly gloated to him. "That old bitch obviously has money. I just need to keep stressing her out and force her to cough it all up." Thinking of this, my fists clenched tightly. I turned around and walked straight out of the room. "You dead old bitch. Even if you go call my dad, it won't work." She thought she had successfully manipulated me again. She slammed the kitchen knife onto the table with a loud clatter, smashed a few teacups to vent her fake anger, and then followed me into the bedroom. "Even if you get on your knees and beg me, I won't." Her words abruptly stopped the moment she fully stepped into the room. The next second, her voice shot up an entire octave. What the hell are you doing?" Meeting her completely shocked stare, I zipped up her packed suitcase in one smooth motion and pushed it right in front of her. "Go ahead, daughter. Mom supports your freedom to love. Of course you two need to be together. After all, your happily ever after really kicks in once you get pregnant, right?" Chloe never expected me to react like this. Her reddened eyes widened in absolute disbelief. Seeing her frozen, I pushed the suitcase forward again. "If you don't leave now, it'll be dark soon. I'll mail whatever you leave behind to you later. You old you." Chloe used her incredibly limited brain power to process the situation. Once she figured it out, she let out a cold sneer. "Ha, you actually agreed to let Tyler and me be together, just to stop me from killing myself." She waved her hand with a smug, merciful look. Whatever. I guess I understand that you're old and can't bear to lose me. I don't have to leave. But from now on, you are not allowed to interfere in my life. Also, deposit $3,000 into my account every month. Don't worry about how I spend it." At this exact moment, I genuinely felt how pathetic my life had been. From the moment Chloe was born, we babied her, terrified of her getting even a scratch. But what we didn't expect was that she loved to lie and constantly fabricated excuses to extort money. From an early age, whenever I dropped her off at my mother's house, my mom would later find that a few bills were missing from her wallet. Then my husband demanded we discipline her severely, so she would learn her lesson. But I believed it was because we hadn't given her enough of a sense of security. I insisted on spoiling her, giving her whatever the other kids had, and more. In the end, I paid for it with my life. Her first reaction to my murder was filming a fake video to commit perjury, and later turning on her live stream to profit off the tragedy. "You're wrong." I sighed, shook my head, and patted her shoulder. "Mom is getting old. I can't control you anymore, and I don't want to. Starting today, whether you skip school or not, who you date, I don't care. Leave this house whenever you want, but $3,000 is way too much. Mom can't afford that. You should go find someone else to be your mother. I knew you were just throwing a tantrum. You wait and see. I'm not coming home tonight." Chloe screamed, slammed the door, and stormed out. She genuinely still thought I was just calling her bluff. Not long after she left, I headed out too. I had been trapped in the role of a mother for far too long. I practically always ate whatever leftovers Chloe didn't want. Tonight, for the first time in years, I enjoyed a premium Wagyu steak paired with red wine. Fresh Wagyu beef tasted amazing. No wonder she was always demanding it. The high-end restaurant staff service was impeccable. Being taken care of felt completely different from constantly taking care of others. After a satisfying meal, I even went to see a movie, treating myself to popcorn. I'd almost forgotten that years ago, I used to be an energetic young girl myself. I used to be a treasure cherished by my own parents. On my way home, I happened to see Chloe standing downstairs, talking to a group of neighbors in the courtyard. From a distance, I could vaguely hear her. My dad is away on a business trip, and my mom is home alone. So naturally, if she doesn't care about me, fine. I'm used to it anyway. I'll just starve to death. Now she's out again. Who knows who she's with? The neighbors were fanning themselves, gossiping and nodding sympathetically to her. I suddenly realized why. The neighbors had been giving me nasty looks for years. It was probably because Chloe had tirelessly slandered me. Behind my back, at every opportunity. I had consulted child psychologists before, who told me that young children sometimes lie, or act out dramatically to get attention. But I never expected that her pathological lying and unbridled malice would only amplify. As she grew up, becoming utterly terrifying, Chloe saw me let out a cold humph and walked away without looking back. I immediately stepped forward to explain. My daughter just loves to lie. Nothing she says is true. I just went out to have dinner by myself. But nobody responded. I shifted gears and greeted the neighbors, trying to smooth things over. Hey ladies, out enjoying the cool evening breeze. Have you all eaten yet? But everyone just gave me a few cold grunts in response. I knew deeply that the ice wouldn't thaw instantly. Explaining more right now was useless. I'd have to let the facts speak for themselves over time. I didn't say anything else. I went up to my apartment only to find the place completely trashed. Almost everything that could be smashed was shattered. Drawers were yanked open and rummaged through, making it look like the place had been ransacked by robbers. Chloe's frantic handwriting, fueled by pure hatred, scrolled across my bed sheets with a marker. You dead old bitch. So you won't give me money? Fine. I'm sleeping at my boyfriend's place tonight. Don't you dare regret it. Her downward spiral ruins her life, not mine. What exactly was I supposed to regret? The louder she barks now, the harder reality is going to forcefully slap her in the face later. I sneered, changed the bed sheets, made the bed, and went to sleep. The next day, as soon as I walked through the door, I saw Chloe sitting in the living room, alongside my specific best friend, Wendy. Wendy was a junior to my husband and me in college. She had aggressively pursued my husband back then, but failed. She then pivoted and became my closest friend instead. She had dated a guy once, but he cheated on her and beat her violently. And she had been single ever since. Ever since Chloe was born. Wendy was constantly at my house, showering her with snacks, dolls, and limited edition game consoles. When Chloe was little, anytime I tried to discipline her, she'd immediately call Wendy, who would rush over to defend her. As she grew older and started talking back to me, Chloe would frequently say, "You complain too much, nag. Nag, nag. Being your kid is so unlucky. I don't know how dad was ever blind enough to pick you. You're old and mean. I wish Aunt Wendy was my mom. She's pretty and generous, not cheap and petty like you." She never cared how much those words broke my heart. Deep down, she genuinely wanted Wendy to be her mother. Right now, Chloe was leaning into Wendy's embrace, looking like a total victim, while Wendy held her hand, constantly comforting her. From where I stood, the two of them looked exactly like a real mother and daughter. Hearing me come in, Chloe didn't even look up before loudly and dramatically complaining. My mom literally locked me out yesterday. I had nowhere to go all night. Only my boyfriend took me in. She didn't give me food and said she'd cut off my allowance. We're so broke. Why did she even have a kid if she has no money? I'm just bravely pursuing true love. What did I do wrong? Wendy hugged her shoulders tighter. You did nothing wrong. Your mother is just too cruel. What era are we in? A mother controlling who her kid loves? She's way out of line. Boo-hoo. Aunt Wendy, you love me the most. You treat me way better than my biological mother. Wendy even proposed making Chloe her official goddaughter at her upcoming 18th birthday party, which Chloe enthusiastically agreed to. Listening to all this, I just wanted to laugh. Aside from the parents who actually bore and raised you, do strangers really treat you perfectly? For absolutely no reason in this world? I pretended not to hear the insults and walked in with a warm smile. Chloe, Mom knows that no matter what I say, you won't believe me. So I decided to prove it with actions. Paused, then spoke slowly. Mom just went out to do some errands. All for you. I arranged a meeting with Tyler's parents. I agreed to let you two get engaged. I'm not asking for a single dime for a wedding fund. And as soon as you hit the legal age, you guys can get married. Your 18th birthday is coming up. Mom is going to throw you a massive bash. We'll invite Tyler, and everyone can bear witness to your happiness." Chloe's eyes widened to the size of saucers. Her face filled with complete shock and joy. She was so excited she couldn't even speak. Her wrists spasmed so violently that her knuckles rapped against the glass coffee table, making a sharp, hollow sound. The warm, maternal glow she had been projecting vanished, replaced by a sickly, translucent pallor. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I kept my smile perfectly pinned in place, my eyes locked onto her face. "Wendy." I tilted my head, feigning innocent concern. "Are you alright? You look like you've seen a ghost." Chloe, oblivious as ever to anything outside her own immediate desires, threw her arms in the air, practically vibrating with triumph. "Are you serious? Mom, you actually went to see Tyler's parents? You're letting us get married?" "Of course, sweetie," I said smoothly, my gaze never leaving Wendy. "And Wendy just reminded me how horribly out of touch I've been. Why would I stand in the way of true love? You're about to turn 18. You're practically an adult. It's time I stop treating you like a child and start treating you like a woman making her own choices." "Wait." Wendy finally choked out, her voice thin and reedy. She cleared her throat, forcing a sickly sweet smile. "Wait, let's not be hasty. You've always been so protective. Isn't marriage at 18 a bit extreme? Tyler is, well, he's a bit rough around the edges, isn't he?" I let out a soft, melodic laugh. "Oh, Wendy, don't be a hypocrite now. Just 5 minutes ago, you were calling me cruel for trying to control her. You told her she did nothing wrong. I'm just taking my best friend's advice." I stepped closer, lowering my voice into a conspiratorial whisper. Besides, Tyler's family was so welcoming. They live in that charming little trailer park out by the industrial district. His father is quite the character. Reminds me a bit of that ex of yours, actually. What was his name? Marcus. The effect was instantaneous. Wendy stopped breathing. Her eyes widened, pupils constricting into tiny pinpricks of absolute terror. Bingo. In my previous life, I had been too distracted by my daughter's rebellion and my own exhaustion to look closely at the people around me. But after being shoved off a 12-story building, your perspective shifts. You start remembering the little details. I remembered Tyler's distinctive sneer, the specific cadence of his profanity, and most importantly, his last name, Vance. Marcus Vance. The man who had allegedly beaten Wendy black and blue 20 years ago. The man she claimed ruined her life. It didn't take a genius to put the pieces together. Wendy hadn't just happened to support Chloe's rebellion. She had orchestrated it. She had pointed her estranged, delinquent son, whom she had abandoned to his abusive father, straight at my naive, idiotic daughter. It was the perfect revenge against the woman whose life she coveted. She wanted Chloe ruined, pregnant, and miserable, which would inevitably break my marriage and leave my husband, David, seeking comfort in the arms of his supportive college friend. But Wendy only wanted them to date, to create chaos. She never wanted them married. A legal marriage meant Tyler would officially become part of our family, bringing his father, and Wendy's sordid past, right to our doorstep. It would expose her entirely. "Mom, you're the best," Chloe shrieked, breaking the heavy tension. She ran over, not to hug me, but to grab her suitcase. "I'm going to go tell Tyler. We need to start planning the party." "Take your time, honey," I said, stepping aside. "In fact, why don't you move in with him early? Since we're officially accepting him into the family, there's no need to sneak around. I'll pack up the rest of your room tomorrow." Chloe froze for a fraction of a second, a flicker of hesitation crossing her face. Living with a thug sounded romantic when it was a forbidden escape, but the reality of a cramped, cigarette-stained apartment was different. Yet, her pride wouldn't let her back down, especially not in front of Wendy. "Fin?" Chloe jutted her chin out defiantly. "I will. Come on, Aunt Wendy, help me carry this down." Wendy looked like she was walking to her own execution. She stood up on shaky legs, avoiding my eyes entirely.
"Right.
"Coming, sweetie." As they reached the door, I called out, "Oh, Chloe, one more thing." She paused, looking over her shoulder with a haughty glare.
"What?"
"Don't tell me you're backing out." "Never," I smiled. "But since you're officially living as an independent, engaged woman, I've frozen the supplementary credit card. You won't need an allowance from me anymore, right? A grown man like Tyler will surely take care of his fiancée." Chloe scoffed, tossing her hair. "Whatever. Tyler has plenty of money. We don't need your pathetic $3,000. She slammed the door behind her. I stood in the quiet living room, the silence washing over me like a cool, refreshing wave. My pathetic $3,000? I let out a low chuckle that slowly built into a full laugh. Tyler didn't have a dime to his name. He survived off the cash Chloe stole from me. The clock was ticking. Let's see how long true love lasts on an empty stomach. David came home 3 days later. Normally, I would have spent those 3 days scrubbing the apartment top to bottom, hiding the broken teacups, replacing the shattered vases, and making sure a hot meal was on the table the second his key turned in the lock. I used to exhaust myself playing the shock absorber for this family, ensuring David never saw the true extent of his daughter's vitriol. Not this time. I left the apartment exactly as Chloe had trashed it. The broken ceramics lay scattered across the hardwood. The drawers remained yanked open. And in my bedroom, the mattress lay bare, the sheets with Chloe's hateful marker scrawl, "You dead old bitch," draped deliberately over the footboard for maximum visibility. When the front door opened, I was sitting at the kitchen island, calmly sipping a glass of Pinot Noir. "Emma, I'm home," David called out, dropping his briefcase. Then he stopped. I listened to his footsteps falter as he took in the state of the living room. What the hell happened here? Were we robbed? He rushed into the kitchen, his face flushed with panic. "Are you okay? Where's Chloe?" I looked up at him. In my past life, I had worked myself into an early grave trying to ease the burdens on his shoulders. He was a decent man, but he was passive. He preferred the illusion of peace to the messy reality of conflict. "We weren't robbed, David," I said softly, staring into my wine glass. "Your daughter happened. Chloe." He blinked, struggling to process. "She did this? Why?" I stood up, took his hand, and led him into our bedroom. I didn't say a word. I just pointed to the bed sheets. David's eyes tracked the crude, aggressive handwriting. "You dead old bitch. So you won't give me money? Fine. I'm sleeping at my boyfriend's place tonight. Don't you dare regret it." His jaw tightened. The veins in his neck stood out against his collar. "Over money? She destroyed our home over her allowance. She demanded $3,000 a month, David," I said, letting a tremor of genuine exhaustion seep into my voice. "She wanted it to fund her new boyfriend, a high school dropout named Tyler. When I told her we couldn't afford it, she held a kitchen knife to her own throat." David recoiled as if he had been physically struck. "She what?" "She threatened to kill herself right in front of me if I didn't fund her lifestyle. So I gave up." I looked up at him, letting a single tear slip down my cheek. "I can't fight her anymore, David." I was so terrified. I told her I supported her, let her pack her bags, and she left. "She's living with him now." "You let her leave?" Anger flared in his eyes, but I cut him off before he could turn it on me. "What was I supposed to do, David?" I raised my voice, the raw trauma of my past life fueling the performance. "Wrestle the knife away from her? Let her slice her neck open?" I've spent 18 years walking on eggshells, babying her, making excuses for her lying. "You're always away on business. You don't see how she looks at me. She hates me. And the harder I try to pull her back, the more she despises me. So I let go." David deflated. The righteous anger drained out of him, replaced by a profound, heavy shame. He ran a hand over his face, looking at the vandalized bedroom. "I'm sorry, Em," he whispered, wrapping his arms around me. "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have been away so much. I'll call her right now. I'll drag her back here by her hair if I have to." "No." I pulled back, looking him dead in the eye. "If you force her back, she will just run away again, or worse. She thinks the real world is a fairy tale. She thinks this boy loves her for who she is, not the money she brings him. We need to let her see the truth." David frowned. "What do you mean?" "She turns 18 in a few weeks. I told her we'd throw her a birthday party and announce her engagement to Tyler." "Are you insane?" "Listen to me." I gripped his forearms. "We invite everyone. Our friends, your colleagues, Wendy, and Tyler's family. We let Chloe see the stark contrast between her life and the gutter she's throwing herself into. We cut off her financial support entirely. We make it legal. If she wants to be an adult, we let her bear the weight of it. No safety nets. No secret bailouts." David stared at me, searching my face for any hint of a joke. Finding none, a hard, resolute glint appeared in his eyes. He had worked too hard to build his life from nothing to watch his daughter squander it on a street thug. "You're right," he said quietly. "If she wants to play grown-up, she pays the admission fee. But what about Wendy? Chloe always runs to her when we say no." I smiled, a cold, predatory curve of the lips. "Oh, don't worry about Wendy. I have a very special role in mind for her." Over the next 3 weeks, I didn't reach out to Chloe once. According to the private investigator I had hired using my personal savings, life was moving exactly as I predicted. Tyler Vance lived in a squalid, one-bedroom apartment above a neon-lit pawn shop. For the first few days, things had been a honeymoon. But once Tyler realized the golden goose had stopped laying eggs, the atmosphere soured. Without my $3,000, Tyler couldn't afford his nightly bar tabs or his street racing bets. The PI provided me with photographs. Chloe walking out of a cheap grocery store looking exhausted, carrying generic brand noodles. Chloe arguing with Tyler on the street, him aggressively grabbing her arm, Chloe sitting on a dirty curb, crying into her phone. She had tried calling David twice. Both times, he looked at his ringing phone, his jaw set, and hit decline. She had undoubtedly called Wendy, too. But my PI confirmed that Wendy was ghosting her. Wendy was in full panic mode. She had visited a lawyer twice in the past week, terrified that Marcus Vance was going to find out she was adjacent to his son's new, wealthy fiancé. Wendy had spent 20 years building an image as an elegant, tragic single woman. The last thing she wanted was a violent, extortionist ex-boyfriend and a feral son dragging her back into the mud. The trap was closing. I just had to spring it. The night of Chloe's 18th birthday party arrived. I had rented out the banquet hall of the most exclusive country club in the city. The room was dripping in crystal chandeliers, the tables adorned with white lilies and silver cutlery. A string quartet played softly in the corner. It was an environment designed to intimidate anyone who didn't belong. David and I stood by the entrance, greeting our guests. My husband looked dashing in a bespoke tuxedo, though his eyes were flinty and cold. I wore an emerald green evening gown that clung perfectly to my figure, feeling more alive than I had in a decade. "They're here," David muttered, his posture stiffening. I turned. Walking through the mahogany double doors was a sight that made the entire room fall completely silent. Chloe looked like a shadow of the arrogant girl who had threatened me with a kitchen knife a month ago. Her hair was frizzy, her posture slouched, and she was wearing a dress that looked suspiciously like a cheap knockoff of a designer brand, likely bought from a thrift store. Beside her was Tyler. He wore an ill-fitting, shiny gray suit that smelled faintly of stale beer and cheap cologne, even from 10 feet away. He was chewing gum loudly, looking around the opulent room with predatory, greedy eyes. But the real spectacle was the entourage trailing behind them. Marcus Vance, Tyler's father, waddled in wearing a stained leather jacket over a polo shirt, his face flushed with cheap liquor. Behind him were two of Tyler's equally scummy cousins, eyeing the waitstaff like they were prey. "Damn." Tyler whistled loudly, oblivious to the stares of the city's elite. "Your old lady really went all out, Chloe. Told you they were loaded." Chloe looked absolutely mortified. She shrank under the gaze of David's law partners and my socialite friends. "Tyler, please keep your voice down," she hissed. "Hey, don't tell the boy to shut up," Marcus barked, slapping Tyler on the back. "We're family now. Hey, where's the open bar?" I caught sight of Wendy across the room. She was wearing a stunning black dress, holding a flute of champagne. The moment she saw Marcus Vance, all the blood left her face. She spun around, desperately trying to blend into the curtains, her hands shaking so violently she spilled champagne on her own dress. I walked forward, spreading my arms with a beaming, radiant smile. "Chloe, Tyler, you made it." I projected my voice so the entire hall could hear. "And you must be Mr. Vance. Welcome. I'm Emma, Chloe's mother. We are just so thrilled to merge our families." Marcus looked me up and down, a sleazy grin spreading across his face. "Well, ain't you a piece of work? Your kid said you were an uptight bitch, but you look all right to me." David took a step forward, his fists clenching, but I put a hand on his chest, stopping him. "Mr. Vance, your charm precedes you." I smiled smoothly. "Please, enjoy the caviar. We have a very special announcement to make shortly." I guided Chloe and Tyler to the table of honor. Chloe wouldn't meet my eyes. She looked exhausted, terrified, and desperate. She reached out, grabbing my wrist. "Mom," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Mom, please. Can we talk? Just you and me?" "Oh, sweetheart, there's no time." I patted her hand dismissively, peeling her fingers off me. "The guests are waiting. This is your big night. Everything you ever wanted." I stepped up to the microphone at the front of the room. The string quartet stopped playing. The low murmur of the crowd died down. Hundreds of eyes turned to me. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice echoing clearly across the hall. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Today marks a very special occasion. My daughter, Chloe, turns 18. Legally, she is now an adult." I paused, looking directly at Chloe, who was shrinking into her chair. For the past few months, Chloe has made it abundantly clear that she finds her father and me to be suffocating. She felt our rules were tyrannical and our financial support was a prison. She found her true family and her true love in a young man named Tyler Vance. I gestured to Tyler, who puffed out his chest and threw up a peace sign to the crowd. A collective murmur of disgust rippled through the guests. Because I love my daughter, I have decided to give her the greatest gift a mother can give: complete, unrestricted freedom. I signaled David. He stepped forward, holding a manila folder. He opened it, taking out a stack of legally notarized documents. "Effective today," David spoke, his deep voice leaving no room for argument. Chloe's college trust fund has been liquidated and donated to a local women's shelter. Her car insurance, health insurance, and phone lines under our name have been officially canceled. Furthermore, as we are fully supporting her engagement to Tyler, we are stepping back permanently. We will not be providing a dowry, a wedding fund, or a dime of inheritance. The room gasped. Tyler's gum chewing stopped instantly. His face went slack. Wait, what? Tyler blurted out, standing up. What do you mean, donated? She said you guys had millions. We do, I smiled sweetly. But as Chloe so eloquently told me, she doesn't want our pathetic money. She is bravely pursuing true love. Now hold on a damn minute. Marcus Vance roared, slamming his glass onto the table. You're cutting her off. My boy ain't marrying no broke bitch. We had a deal. A deal? I tilted my head. Oh, Mr. Vance, I'm fully aware of the arrangements made behind my back. Which brings me to the final, most important part of my speech. I scanned the room, my eyes locking onto the woman trying to sneak out the side exit. Wendy, don't leave yet. I called out cheerfully. The spotlight is yours. Wendy froze. Every head in the room turned toward her. For years, I continued, my voice taking on a sharper, deadlier edge. Chloe has repeatedly told me that she wishes my dearest friend, Wendy, were her mother. Wendy has always been there to buy her things, to undermine our discipline, to encourage her rebellion. Wendy even told Chloe that a mother controlling her child's love life was cruel. I stepped down from the podium, walking slowly toward Wendy. She was hyperventilating, her eyes darting between me and Marcus Vance. So, David and I have drafted one final document, an adult adoption consent form. I held it up. We are formally relinquishing all familial ties to Chloe. Wendy, since you love her so much, she is entirely yours. She will be moving into your guest room tonight, along with her lovely fiancé, Tyler. No, Wendy screamed, her voice cracking in pure terror. No, I don't want her. I didn't agree to this. Wendy. Chloe stood up, her face utterly betrayed. What are you talking about? You said you'd always take care of me. You told me to stand my ground. Shut up, you stupid girl. Wendy shrieked, losing her sophisticated facade entirely. I don't have money to support you, and a deadbeat. Deadbeat? The voice rumbled like a freight train. The crowd parted as Marcus Vance stepped forward, his eyes locked onto Wendy. He stared at her, squinting, trying to place her face beneath the expensive makeup and the designer dress. Then, a slow, horrifying grin spread across his scarred face. Well, I'll be damned, Marcus laughed, a wet, ugly sound. If it ain't little Wendy. Cleaned up real nice, didn't you, babe? The entire room went dead silent. Tyler stared at his father. Pop, you know this crazy rich lady? Know her? Marcus cackled, walking up to Wendy and grabbing her roughly by the chin. She whimpered, paralyzed by fear. Boy, this is the bitch that popped you out and left you in a dumpster behind a Denny's 18 years ago. Say hello to your biological mother. The fallout was catastrophic, exactly as I had engineered. When the truth dropped, chaos erupted in the banquet hall. Tyler, realizing he had been inadvertently sleeping with his own cousin by proxy and that his entire existence had been manipulated by the mother who abandoned him, snapped. He threw a punch at David, missed, and shattered a champagne tower. Security swarmed the Vances, dragging them out while Marcus screamed about extortion and lawsuits. Through it all, Chloe stood completely alone in the center of the room. The realization of what she had done, the magnitude of the safety net she had gleefully set on fire, finally hit her. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, her lips trembling. Mom, she whispered. I didn't blink. I didn't flinch. I just turned my back, took my husband's arm, and walked out. The next 6 months were a masterclass in the consequences of reality. I didn't need a private investigator anymore. The sordid drama played out in the local tabloids and the neighborhood gossip mill. Tyler and Marcus, realizing Wendy was a wealthy socialite, latched onto her like parasites. They squatted in her immaculate condominium, refusing to leave. Marcus blackmailed her over her past, demanding money for his silence, draining her bank accounts to fuel his gambling addiction. Wendy's carefully curated reputation was annihilated. She lost her job, her friends, and her sanity, trapped in a hell of her own making with the monsters she had tried to weaponize against me. And Chloe? Chloe learned what happens when a pathological liar meets people who deal in physical violence rather than emotional patience. Without my money to keep Tyler docile, he turned his rage on her. The first time he hit her, she tried to run back to our house. David and I had sold the apartment and moved into a secure, gated community in the suburbs. When she showed up at the gate, bruised and crying, the security guards turned her away. She tried to sue us for support. The judge took one look at the emancipation papers, the vandalism police reports from our old apartment, and threw the case out, laughing her out of the courtroom. She was forced to get a job at a greasy diner to pay off the debts Tyler accrued in her name. The Wagyu beef and premium allowances she once spat on were replaced by stale bread and constant fear. One evening, nearly a year after the birthday party, I was sitting on the balcony of our new home, sipping a cup of Earl Grey tea. The sun was setting, casting a warm, golden glow over the manicured lawns. I was currently 4 months pregnant. David and I had decided to start over, to raise a child in an environment of boundaries, respect, and unconditional, but not foolish, love. My phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. I answered it. Mom. The voice was raspy, broken, and hollowed out. I recognized it instantly, though the arrogant edge was entirely gone. I don't have a daughter, I said evenly. Please, Chloe sobbed. In the background, I could hear the wind howling and the faint, blaring horns of city traffic far below. Please don't hang up. I'm on the roof of the old apartment building. Tyler, he's looking for me. He found out I tried to hide $50 from my paycheck. He said he's going to kill me. My blood ran cold. The rooftop. The memories of my past life rushed back. The sickening feeling of weightlessness, the cold wind whipping past my face as Tyler shoved me, the sound of my own spine snapping against the pavement. And then, Chloe's face on a phone screen, recording my corpse, crying fake tears to secure her internet fame. Call the police, Chloe, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. That's what they are for. I can't. They won't get here in time. Mom, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She screamed, pure, unadulterated panic in her voice. I was wrong. You were right. I just want to come home. I'll do anything. I'll clean the floors. I'll never ask for money again. Just come get me. Please save me. I closed my eyes. For a fleeting microsecond, the ingrained biological instinct of a mother twitched in my chest. But then I remembered the knife she held to her own throat. I remembered the smirk on her face when she told Tyler to bleed me dry. I remembered dying for her, only for her to spit on my grave. Some people are born with a rot inside them that no amount of love can cure. You made your bed, Chloe, I said softly into the receiver. Now you have to lie in it. Mom, goodbye. I ended the call. I went into the phone settings and permanently blocked the number. I set the phone down on the glass table, picked up my teacup, and took a slow, deep breath of the crisp evening air. The wind ruffled my hair, wiping away the last lingering ghosts of my past life. Inside the house, David was cooking dinner. The smell of roasted garlic and fresh rosemary drifted out onto the balcony. I placed a hand over my stomach, feeling the faint, miraculous flutter of new life beneath my fingertips. I had survived. I had rewritten my fate. And for the first time in a very long time, I was truly, completely at peace.